Glory to God the Father and Son Yeshua Mashiach. 2 Kings chapter 18. Hezekiah does right. It was in the 3rd year of Hoshea the son of Elah, king of Israel, that Hezekiah the son of Achaz, king of Yehudah, began his reign. He was 25 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 29 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Avi, the daughter of Zechariah. He did what was right from Adonai's perspective, following the example of everything David his ancestor had done. He removed the high places, smashed the standing stones, cut down the Asherah and broke in pieces the bronze serpent that Moshe had made, because in those days the people of Israel were making offerings to it, calling it Nehushtan. He put his trust in Adonai, the God of Israel. After him there was no one like him among all the kings of Yehudah, nor had there been among those before him. For he clung to Adonai and did not leave off following him, but obeyed his mitzvot, which Adonai had given Moshe. So Adonai was with him. Wherever he went out to battle, he did well. He rebelled against the king of Ashur and refused to be his vassal. He drove the Pelishtim back to Azza and laid waste to their territory from the watchtower to the fortified city. Israel is besieged by Assyria. It was in the 4th year of King Hezekiah, which was the 7th year of Hoshea son of Elah, king of Israel, that Shalmaneser king of Ashur advanced against Shomron and laid siege to it. At the end of 3 years they captured it. That is, Shomron was captured in the 6th year of Hezekiah, which was the 9th year of Hoshea king of Israel. The king of Ashur carried Israel away captive to Ashur and settled them in Halak, in Hava on the Gozan River and in the cities of the Madai. This happened because they did not heed the voice of Adonai their God, but violated his covenant, everything that Moshe the servant of Adonai had ordered him to do, and would neither hear it nor do it. The first invasion by Assyria. In the 14th year of King Hezekiah, Sancherib king of Ashur advanced against all the fortified cities of Yehudah and captured them. Hezekiah king of Yehudah sent this message to the king of Ashur at Lachish: I have done wrong. If you will go away from me, I will pay whatever penalty you impose on me. The king of Ashur imposed on Hezekiah a penalty of 10 tons of silver and a ton of gold. Hezekiah gave him all the silver that could be found in the house of Adonai and in the treasuries of the royal palace. It was at that time that Hezekiah stripped the gold from the doors of the sanctuary of Adonai and from the doorposts which Hezekiah king of Yehudah himself had overlaid, and gave it to the king of Ashur. The second invasion by Assyria. From Lachish the king of Ashur sent Tartan, Rav-Saris and Rav-Shakeh to King Hezekiah in Jerusalem with a large army. They advanced and came to Jerusalem. Upon arrival, they came and positioned themselves by the aqueduct from the upper pool, which is by the road to the launderer's field. They summoned the king, but those answering the call were Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, who was in charge of the household, Shebna the general secretary and Yoach the son of Asaph the foreign minister. Rav-Shakeh addressed them. Tell Hezekiah, here is what the great king, the king of Ashur, says. What makes you so confident? Do you think that mere spoken words constitute strategy and strength for battle? In whom, then, are you trusting when you rebel against me like this? Now look, relying on Egypt is like using a broken stick as a staff. When you lean on it, it punctures your hand. That's what Pharaoh king of Egypt is like for anyone who puts his trust in him. But if you tell me, 'We trust in Adonai our God,' then isn't he the one whose high places and altars Hezekiah has removed, telling Yehuda and Jerusalem, 'You must worship before this altar in Jerusalem'? All right, then, make a wager with my lord the king of Ashur. I will give you 2,000 horses if you can find enough riders for them. How then can you repulse even one of my master's lowest-ranked army officers? Yet you are relying on Egypt for chariots and riders. Do you think I have come up to this place to destroy it without Adonai's approval? Adonai said to me, 'Attack this land, and destroy it.'" Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, Shebna and Yoach said to Rabshakeh, "Please speak to your servants in Aramaic, since we understand it. Don't speak with us in Hebrew while the people on the wall are listening." But Rabshakeh answered them, "Did my master send me to deliver my message just to your master and yourselves? Didn't he send me to address the men sitting on the wall, who, like you, are going to eat their own dung and drink their own urine?" Then Rabshakeh stood up and, speaking loudly in Hebrew, said, "Hear what the great king, the king of Ashur, says. This is what the king says: Don't let Hezekiah deceive you, because he won't be able to save you from the power of the king of Ashur. And don't let Hezekiah make you trust in Adonai by saying, 'Adonai will surely save us. This city will not be given over to the king of Ashur.' Don't listen to Hezekiah, for this is what the king of Ashur says: 'Make peace with me, surrender to me. Then every one of you can eat from his vine and fig tree and drink the water in his own cistern. Until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land with grain and wine, a land with bread and vineyards, a land with olive trees and honey, so that you can live and not die.' So don't listen to Hezekiah. He is only deluding you when he says, 'Adonai will save us.' Has any god of any nation ever saved his land from the power of the king of Ashur? Where are the gods of Hamat and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sfarvaim, Hena and Iva? Did they save Shomron from my power? Where is the god of any country that has saved its country from my power, so that Adonai might be able to save Jerusalem from my power?" But the people kept still and didn't answer him so much as a word, for the king's order was, "Don't answer him." Then Eliakim the son of Hilkiah, who was in charge of the household, Shebna the general secretary and Yoach the son of Asaph the foreign minister went to Hezekiah with their clothes torn and reported to him what Rabshakeh had said. 2 Kings chapter 19. On hearing it, King Hezekiah tore his clothes, covered himself with sackcloth and entered the house of Adonai. He sent Eliakim, who was in charge of the household, Shebna the general secretary and the leading Kohanim, covered with sackcloth, to Yeshayahu the prophet, the son of Amoz. They said to him, "This is what Hezekiah says: Today is a day of trouble, rebuke and disgrace. Children are ready to be born, but there is no strength to bring them to birth. Maybe Adonai your God will hear all the words of Rabshakeh, whom his master the king of Ashur has sent to taunt the living God, and will rebuke the message which Adonai your God has heard. So pray for the remnant that is left." When King Hezekiah's servants came to Yeshayahu, he said to them, "Tell your master that this is what Adonai says: Don't be afraid of the words you heard the servants of the king of Ashur used to insult me. I will put a spirit in him that will make him hear a rumor and return to his own land. Then I will cause him to die by the sword in his own land." Rabshakeh returned and, having heard that the king of Ashur had left Lachish, found him making war with Livnah. Then, on hearing it said that Tirhakah king of Ethiopia was on his way to fight him, the king of Ashur sent messengers to Hezekiah, telling them, "This is what you are to say to Hezekiah king of Yehuda. Don't let your God in whom you trust deceive you by saying, Jerusalem will not be handed over to the power of the king of Ashur. You have heard what the kings of Ashur have done to all lands. They have completely destroyed them. So how will you be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them? No, my ancestors destroyed them. Gozan, Haran, Retziph and the people of Eden who were in Telazar. Where is the king of Hamath? The king of Arpad? The king of the city of Sfarvaim, of Hena and Iva?" Hezekiah took the letter from the messenger's hands and read it. Then Hezekiah went up to the house of Adonai and spread it out before Adonai. Hezekiah prayed as follows in the presence of Adonai, "Adonai God of Israel, who dwells above the cherubim, you alone are God of all the kingdoms on earth. You made heaven and earth. Turn your ear, Adonai, and hear. Open your eyes, Adonai, and see. Hear the words that Sancherib sent to taunt the living God. It is true, Adonai, that the kings of Ashur have laid waste the nations and their lands, and have thrown their gods into the fire, for those were non-gods, merely the product of people's hands, wood and stone. This is why they could destroy them. Now therefore, Adonai our God, please save us from his power, so that all the kingdoms on earth will know that you are Adonai, God, you only." Then Yeshayahu the son of Amoz sent this message to Hezekiah, "Adonai the God of Israel says, you prayed to me against Sancherib king of Ashur, and I have heard you. Here is Adonai's answer concerning him. The virgin daughter of Zion despises you. She laughs you to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem shakes her head at you. Whom have you taunted and insulted? Against whom have you raised your voice and haughtily lifted your eyes? The Holy One of Israel. Through your messengers you taunted Adonai. You said, with my many chariots I have ascended the mountain heights, even in the far reaches of the Lebanon. I cut down its tall cedars and its best cypresses. I reached its remotest corners and its best forests. I dug wells in foreign lands, and I drank the water. The soles of my soldiers' feet dried up all the rivers of Egypt. Haven't you heard? Long ago I made it. In antiquity I produced it. And now I am making it happen. You are turning fortified cities into heaps of ruins, while their inhabitants, shorn of power, are disheartened and ashamed, weak as grass, frail as plants, like grass on the rooftops or grain scorched by the east wind. But I know when you sit, when you leave, when you enter, and when you rage against me. And because of your rage against me, because of your pride that has reached my ears, I am putting my hook in your nose and my bridle on your lips, and I will make you return by the way on which you came. This will be the sign for you. This year, you will eat the grain that grows of itself. The second year, you will eat what grows from that. But in the third year, you will sow, reap, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. Meanwhile, the remnant of the house of Yehuda that has escaped will again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For a remnant will go out from Jerusalem, those escaping will go out from Mount Zion. The zeal of Adonai Svaot will accomplish this. Therefore this is what Adonai says concerning the king of Ashur. He will not come to this city or even shoot an arrow there. He will not confront it with a shield or erect earthworks against it. By the way he came he will return. He will not come to this city, says Adonai. For I will defend this city and save it, both for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. That night the angel of Adonai went out and struck down 185,000 men in the camp of Ashur. Early the next morning, there they were, all of them, corpses, dead. So Sancherib king of Ashur left, went and returned to live in Nineveh. One day, as he was worshipping in the temple of Nisroch his god, his sons, Adramelech and Sharezer, struck him with the sword and escaped into the land of Ararat. So his son Esarhaddon took his place as king. 2 Kings chapter 20. The miraculous recovery of Hezekiah. Around this time, Hezekiah became ill to the point of death. Yeshayahu the prophet, the son of Amoz, came and said to him, "Here is what Adonai says, put your house in order, because you are going to die. You will not live." Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall and prayed to Adonai. "I plead with you, Adonai, remember now how I have lived before you truly and wholeheartedly, and how I have done what you see as good." And he cried bitter tears. Before Yeshayahu had left the city's middle courtyard, the word of Adonai came to him. "Go back, and tell Hezekiah the prince of my people, that this is what Adonai, the God of David your ancestor, says, I have heard your prayer and seen your tears, and I will heal you. On the third day, you are to go up to the house of Adonai. I will add 15 years to your life. Also I will rescue you and this city from the power of the king of Ashur. I will defend this city for my own sake and for my servant David's sake." Then Yeshayahu said, "Prepare a fig plaster." They brought it and laid it on the inflammation, so that he would recover. Hezekiah said to Yeshayahu, "What sign will there be that Adonai will heal me and that I will be able to go up to the house of Adonai on the third day?" Yeshayahu said, "Here is the sign for you from Adonai that Adonai will do what he said. Do you want the shadow of the sundial to go forward 10 intervals or backward 10 intervals?" Hezekiah answered, "It's easy for the shadow to go down 10 intervals. No, let the shadow return backward 10 intervals." Yeshayahu called out to Adonai, and he brought the shadow on the sundial of Achaz 10 intervals backward after it had gone down that far. The wealth of Judah is exposed to Babylon. Baladan the son of Baladan, king of Bavel, heard that Hezekiah had been ill, so he sent a letter and a gift to him. Hezekiah listened to the messengers, and showed him the building where he kept his treasures, including the silver, gold, spices and precious oils, also the building where he kept his armor, and everything in his treasury. There was nothing in his palace or in his entire domain that Hezekiah did not show them. The prophecy of the Babylonian exile. Then Yeshayahu the prophet came to King Hezekiah and asked him, "What did these men say? Where did they come from?" Hezekiah answered, "They came from a distant country, Bavel." Yeshayahu asked, "What have they seen in your palace?" "They have seen everything in my palace," said Hezekiah. "There isn't a thing among my treasures that I haven't shown them." Yeshayahu said to Hezekiah, "Hear what Adonai says. The day will come when everything in your palace, along with everything your ancestors stored up until today, will be carried off to Bavel. Nothing will be left, says Adonai. They will carry off some of your descendants, your own offspring. and they will be made eunuchs serving in the palace of the king of Babel." Hezekiah said to Yeshayahu, "The word of Adonai which you have just told me is good." He thought, "Isn't it, though, if peace and truth continue at least through my lifetime?" The death of Hezekiah. Other activities of Hezekiah, his power and how he built the pool and aqueduct to bring water into the city, are recorded in the annals of the kings of Yehudah. Then Hezekiah slept with his ancestors, and Manasseh his son took his place as king. 2 Kings chapter 21. Manasseh does evil. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 55 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Hephzibah. He did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, following the disgusting practices of the nations whom Adonai had expelled ahead of the people of Israel. For he rebuilt the high places Hezekiah his father had destroyed. He erected altars for Baal and made an Asherah, as had Achav king of Israel, and he worshipped all the army of heaven and served them. He erected altars in the house of Adonai, about which Adonai had said, "In Jerusalem I will put my name." He erected altars for all the army of heaven in the 2 courtyards of the house of Adonai. He made his son pass through the fire, as a sacrifice. He practiced soothsaying and divination and appointed mediums and persons who used spirit guides. He did much that was evil from Adonai's perspective, thus provoking him to anger. He set the carved image for the Asherah he had made in the house concerning which Adonai had told David and Shlomo his son, "In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, I will put my name forever. Also I will not have the feet of Israel wander any longer out of the land which I gave their ancestors, if only they will take heed to obey every order I have given them and live in accordance with all the Torah that my servant Moshe ordered them to obey." But they did not take heed, and Manasseh misled them into doing even worse things than the nations Adonai had destroyed ahead of the people of Israel. Adonai spoke this message through his servants the prophets. Because Manasseh king of Yehudah has done these disgusting things, because he has done things more wicked than anything the Amori, who were there before him, did, also because with his idols he made Yehudah sin. Therefore here is what Adonai the God of Israel says, I am going to bring such calamity on Jerusalem and Yehudah that the ears of all who hear of it will tingle. I will measure Jerusalem with the same measuring cord that I used over Shomron, the same plumb line as for the house of Achav. I will scour Jerusalem clean just as one scours a plate, scouring it and then turning it upside down. I will abandon the remnant of my heritage, delivering them into the power of their enemies. They will become prey and plunder for all their enemies. Because they have done what is evil from my perspective and have provoked me to anger from the day their ancestors came out of Egypt to this very day. The nations under Manasseh. Moreover, Manasseh shed so much innocent blood that he flooded Jerusalem from one end to the other. This in addition to his sin through which he caused Yehudah to sin by doing what is evil from Adonai's perspective. The death of Manasseh. Other activities of Manasseh, all his accomplishments and the sin he committed are recorded in the annals of the kings of Yehudah. Then Manasseh slept with his ancestors and was buried in the garden of his own house, the garden of Uzzah, and Amon his son took his place as king. The reign of Amon over Judah. Amon was 22 years old when he began his reign, and he ruled for 2 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Meshullemet, the daughter of Harutz from Jotbah. He did what was evil from Adonai's perspective, as had Manasseh his father. He followed entirely the manner of life of his father, serving the idols that his father served and worshipping them. He abandoned Adonai, the God of his ancestors, and did not live in Adonai's way. Amon's servants conspired against him and put the king to death in his own palace. But the people of the land put to death all those who had been part of the conspiracy against King Amon. Then the people of the land made Joshiahu his son king in place of him. Other activities of Amon and all he accomplished are recorded in the annals of the kings of Yehuda. Amon was buried in his tomb in the garden of Uzzah, and Joshiahu his son took his place as king.